In this video, we move ahead with how can a formula be created. Creating a formula. For creating the formula, the very first thing you need to do is you have to click on the cell where the formula is to be created. Like suppose for example, if you need to create it over here, you need to click on the cell. After clicking on the cell, first thing you are going to do is you are going to put equal to sign, because if you are not going to put equal to sign, that won't be considered as formula. And then we will use open parenthesis. We will begin the bracket and then we will click on the values that we want to include in our formulas. Then we will be using the mathematical operators between, and finally we are going to close the parenthesis. When we will follow these steps, our formula will be created. As you can see in this case, equal to sign is given, then the parenthesis is begin, then the values, the cell addresses are written. These were selected, so automatically it came here. Then they both are separated with an operator sign, and finally it is closed. So this becomes a formula. After writing the formula, you have to press the enter key. As soon as the enter key is pressed, processing of the formula will be done. Next, we move ahead with the cell references. What actually the cell references are? Cell references are actually the cell addresses, and these cell addresses are of three types. Excel provides you three types of cell addresses or three types of cell references. One is relative cell reference, another is absolute cell reference, and the last is mixed cell reference. To understand the relative cell reference, let us see this example. Suppose this sheet is given handicraft home decor. These are the product names, supplier name, stock date. This is the quantity and this is the cost price. Now suppose according to the quantity we want to calculate the amount. So it's so simple. What we are going to do is we are going to multiply the quantity and the cost price. That is, this quantity is written in the E cell, and in the E cell also it is written in the 3. This is the third row. So the address of the cell is E3. We will multiply E3 with the F3. So here we will get an answer. Now the same formula is to be applied to all the other items. Therefore it is useless to write this formula again and again because the formula is same. Only what is going to change is the cell address. Here the cell address was E3 and F3. When I move down, it will be E4, F4. When I move down, it will be E5, F5. So what we can do is, we can simply click on this, go to the corner of this and drag it down. Automatically the formula will be copied and the cell address will get changed in relation to the cell. That means जैसे जैसे नीचे जाएंगे, कॉलम और रो के अकॉर्डिंग सेल एड्रेस will be changed. If it will move here, when we will copy it over here, it will become E4, F4. When we move down, it will be E5, F5. Then further E6, F7. Then E8, F8. So here we are seeing that as we are moving down, the cell address is changing. So this type of reference, this type of address where on moving down the cell addresses get changed. Cell address जिसमें change हो जाते हैं, that is known as the relative cell referencing. So this is an example of relative cell referencing. Next we move on to absolute cell reference. Absolute means something which will not change. If on copying down, if on moving down, the cell address will not change, it remains fixed. We call that as the absolute cell reference. To make something absolute, to make something fixed, we need to put the dollar sign in front of that. Suppose here you can see $A, $5. This means that A column and the fifth row is fixed because we have put a dollar sign. Whenever dollar sign is put in front, that becomes fixed. Here F column is fixed, sixth row is fixed. This all is fixed. That means if you will drag down from here, these are not going to change. You may move to even last of the cell, but this address is not going to change. So because it is not changing, we call this as the absolute cell reference. To understand this, let us again look at one example. Here we are going to calculate the discount. And what discount is being given? The discount of 1000 rupees is given. The 1000 rupees is the discount. So that means whatever will be the amount calculated, out of that amount, this 1000 is going to be subtracted. So what will be done in this case? See, here we have written is equals to G3. G3 means the total of this minus $I$1. Here see, 1000 is written in the I column and this is the first row. So the address is I1 and we have mentioned $I$1. That means even if we move it down, this cell address will not change. This has become fixed because we have put the dollar sign. Now when you move down this formula, you will find that on dragging, you will find that from the amount every time 1000 is subtracted. Why? Because we have fixed this. This amount is going to change. This cell address is going to change. Here it is G3, it will be G4 next. It will be G5, G6, G7 and so on as you will keep on moving down. Because we have not put the dollar sign in front of this. So this is going to change. But this part is not going to change. Therefore, every time when you move down, out of this amount, 1000 will be subtracted and the discount will be calculated. So here we are seeing that the second part is fixed. It is not changing. That's why that is a absolute cell reference. And remember, to make something absolute, to make something fixed, you need to put the dollar sign. If you want to fix only the column, you put the dollar sign in front of the column. If you want to fix only the row, put it in front of the row. But if you want to fix both, you will put the dollar sign in front of both the row as well as the column. Here you can see in the example that one of the thing is changing. G3 is continuously changing to G4, G5, G6, G7. Whereas this part is not changing. This is fixed part. When you have such sort of thing, when you have two things together in which one is changing and the other is not changing, that is known as mixed cell referencing. वो mixed cell referencing होगा. And if we put dollar sign in front of every column and every row, that will be absolute cell reference. So we have three type of referencing. We have relative referencing, where on dragging the cell address will keep on changing. We have absolute cell referencing, where we put dollar sign in front of row and column name to make them fixed. In this case, even if you drag it down, no change will occur in the cell addresses. Third type of referencing is the mixed referencing, where one of the thing will change and the other will remain constant, other will remain absolute. So because here two relative as well as absolute is being used, that's why it is called as the mixed cell referencing.